Aqua friends. I am very excited to bring this video to you today. I actually made a Christmas globe ornament, and I got the idea when my daughter hung up some bookmarks that I had on the Christmas tree. Initially, I was gonna do a Christmas card of a snow globe, but then I thought, let's actually make a snow globe out of watercolor paper. To get it nice and sturdy, I cut out the shape of a snow globe out of watercolor paper. I'm using cold pressed 140 pounds. To get a more three-dimensional look, I soaked all 3 snow globes in some water for a few minutes. So the paper is nice and saturated. It's easy to shape. I placed it on a piece of foam, and just with any sort of blunt instrument that you have. I'm using some nail art things that I used to really be into nail art. So the back of your brush, if it's nicely domed shape, works really well, so that it has a more three-dimensional look. From here, while they're all still wet, you want to use glue, and you want to glue all of them together really well. Don't skimp on the glue. We want it to be all one cohesive piece so that we wouldn't even know that it was 3 separate pieces. So I'm putting a lot of glue on there, brushing it on really, really well. And I'm pressing, and I took my time really pressing those edges together. Reshaping, once they're all put together, I'm reshaping it a little bit more just to give that final curve before it starts to dry. From here, you want to sand down the edges so that everything looks like it's just all one piece, so that you can't decipher the individual pieces that we glued together. So I spent a little bit of time doing this, made sure that it's really nicely sanded and there are no separate pieces. I had some sand blocks, different grits of sandpaper, and I was more happy with medium grit sandpaper that I could use. For buffing, that final buff worked really good with the blocks. All right, so really happy with the way that turned out. From here, I did the picture of my little cabin. For the distant trees, I used a little bit of neutral tint, very watered down. And the trees in the foreground, I used some sap green with some neutral tint. And I'm leaving lots of negative space for the snow. For the cabin itself, I used raw umber and some Van Dyke brown. browns for the shadows underneath the eavesdrop. For the snow itself on the roof, I used some pinks and some blues and some of the yellow ochre just to catch the reflections that I see in the reference photo. And for the bright yellow that's in the windows, I used ISO Yellow Deep. Has a really pretty glow to it. Putting in the little fence. And I am doing the snow with some neutral tint. And there are some blue around the windows that I'm adding in. Putting in some more of that yellow to make it a little brighter, more of a glow. I'm also getting the colors on the roof a little bit more visible, so it's not so fair. Some sort of contrast with the background part of the globe. Going back over those trees, they need to be a little bit more darker. So I'm using the same mix of the shadow green and neutral tint, just using it a little darker. So now I want to put some glitter, and I found the perfect glitter that's kind of looks like snow with little sparkles of silver and blue, and it's mostly white, but it's just so pretty. Watering down some glue, I took a nice fan brush to flick on the glue onto the little snow globe. And then you just take the sparkles, sprinkle it on your paper, tap it around on all edges so that it sticks to the glue dots, and you have this beautiful, very kind of snow globe effect. If you want more, like I did, I just added more glue and added more sparkles. And I know you can't tell from the video, but it's so pretty. It turned out so cute. So now I have Winsor & Newton ink, gold ink, that is very sparkly and it's very pretty. And I'm covering the base of the snow globe with that. And isn't it coming together so cool? And this was all from my daughter's idea. Well, she gave me the idea by hanging up those bookmarks on my tree. So for the very back of the snow globe, and to attach a decorative piece of ribbon, I just took decorative paper that I liked. I really liked this blue color, kind of reminded me in the texture of winter. So I'm sticking that onto the back, and of course you wait for it to dry, and then we have some more sanding to do so that it all becomes one big piece, right? So that you can't tell that it was ever not a part of it. Now on the very edges, I decided I wanted the very edges to have that gold on the bottom. And so I'm just applying that to the bottom of my ornament. You don't have to do this step, but I kind of liked having the gold go all the way to the edges. Just doing a bit touch-ups. After letting that dry, I'm using a thick, glossy clear coat that you could find in any craft store. And I'm applying this to the ornament. This is going to make it water resistant and of course make it last longer. And of course make it pretty because it gives it a really nice glossy finish, which again, it does not show up too well on the video, but trust me, it looks really nice. So that's going to dry. To do the very bottom with that clear coat, trying not to touch the bottom, just have my finger there for it to bump up against so I could get the clear coat on the whole front of this ornament. Once it dries, I did the same thing with the back of the ornament, putting a clear coat across the back. Okay, and you're going to want to let that dry completely. They say like 24 hours, and that's my final ornament. That's how it looks all done, and then I could hang it on my tree. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and this neat idea. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below, and I'll see you next week.